If you've been following my in-park Disney vlogs, you know that I tend to spend plenty of time there as a solo traveler. By myself, nobody else along for the ride. This has pluses and minuses. I love hitting the parks with friends and family, but I also really love going solo. When I'm on my own, I get to make my own decisions, I get to make my own plans, and I get to change those plans at the last moment if I want to, because no one else is going to suffer the consequences except me, right? One worry I often hear from people who are maybe a little bit nervous about the idea of going to Walt Disney World on their own is that of feeling weird during meals eating by themselves. For whatever reason, some people are very insecure about this. I'm not going to use this video to tell you that you're wrong for being worried about dining alone, but I will offer some reassurances and some recommendations about the best places to go grab a meal for different solo travelers. One approach, of course, is to draw less attention to yourself and spend less time and less money in your meals by going exclusively to counter service places. These are the places in the parks where you stand in line, order to register, and they give you a tray, and you go find a place to eat, sort of like at a fast food joint. There are plenty of counter service places that have really good and interesting menus, so you shouldn't worry that this approach means you'll get stuck with burgers and chicken nuggets. You just have to do your research ahead of time to figure out what these places are. Generally, the benefits of counter service dining are: most meals are less expensive than at table service places. You can go whenever you like because there's no reservations. You can change your mind at the last moment and go someplace else because there's no reservations. If the lines aren't long, you can usually eat a little quicker than at a table service place. There isn't all the sort of routine and the waiter comes and once you've got your food, you got your food, you go to the table, you eat the stuff, you go. Counter service, you can go. Okay, on the other hand, you do have to stand in line. And sometimes carrying that tray from the counter over to whatever table, trying to find, you go like this, you don't want your drink to spill. It's stressful. Those places can be kind of madhousey. Also, as a solo diner, say you have to use the bathroom or you need to go refill your drink. If you get up and leave your table, you could lose your table. I've had it happen before where most of my meal was still there. I got up to go do something. I got up to go get a napkin. And in the time it took me to go get a napkin and come back to my table, a family had just descended. It's just like they didn't see my stuff there. I don't know. I just sat down with them. And they, oh, is this your table? Yeah. Also, at the counter service places, there's just generally more random foot traffic. Just people walking right past you, like right here, like consistently, just over and over and over. People walking right past you. It's less relaxing in general. But, you know, you can't eat at table service places for every meal. That would be extraordinarily expensive, and it would eat up a whole lot of your time. Nobody's saying you do that. Here are a few examples of counter service places that I really like as a solo traveler. Now, just because I recommend these places doesn't mean that there aren't other places that are good that I go to that I like a lot. There are. It's just that these places, I think, have some specific upside for people who are solo travelers. Okay, first example, Columbia Harbor House in Liberty Square has some pretty decent seafood on a counter service budget, including clam chowder, grilled salmon. There's a lobster roll sandwich, which is really popular. One of the advantages of this place for a solo diner is that if you're comfortable going up the stairs with your tray, you can usually get out of the crowds pretty quickly because most guests there just stay downstairs where it's crowded. They don't even know that there's an upstairs. But if when you get your food, you're right there at the counter, right there, behind your right shoulder, there's stairs right there. Go up those stairs, and there's a table in a little nook next to a window on the front side of the building. If it's available, grab that table. It's right next to a window. You're looking out on the Haunted Mansion. It's in a little nook, so you don't have a whole lot of people just walking right past you and brushing up against you while you're trying to eat and relax. It's pretty good. Over in Epcot in the UK Pavilion, Yorkshire County Fish Shop is a great option for a solo traveler for a couple of reasons. First, if you like traditional English fish and chips, theirs are pretty darn good and less expensive than basically the same meal inside at Rose and Crown. Secondly, because their menu is so limited, the line to order tends to move pretty fast. The seating is outdoors, but I've personally never had any trouble finding a table there. It's good fish, and you can get it pretty fast, you can eat it, and get out of there. On the other end of the spectrum at Epcot is Sunshine Seasons in the Land Pavilion in Future World. This place has a very large and varied menu, so you're more likely to find something to your taste if you're not in the mood for fish, which I know each of my other two places are fish places. Lots of different sandwiches at Sunshine Seasons, salads, soups, even Asian-style entrees that are at reasonable theme park prices, along with some very yummy desserts. I had a strawberry shortcake there that was really good. There's a lot of seating here, and it's indoors. If you're a solo visitor who's flying by the seat of your pants, this is a good place to stop in conjunction with going to Soarin' or Living with the Land, which are both right there in the Land Pavilion, just a few yards away from Sunshine Seasons. Good place that you can grab, eat, go. I'm going to recommend one counter service restaurant for solo travelers in Animal Kingdom for one specific reason. If you get the chicken fried rice at Yak and Yeti Local Foods Cafe, they give it to you in one of those traditional Chinese takeout style boxes. It's easy to carry around as you walk. If you have a water bottle in your pack or in your pocket and you don't need to get off your feet, this is a great option to get some food and stay on the move. This is much better than the same dish of similar stuff over at the China Pavilion in Epcot and Lotus Blossom Cafe. No, don't get the fried rice there. Wait till you're at Animal Kingdom. Get it here at the Yak and Yeti Local Foods Cafe. It's actually good. They give it to you in that box. You can actually go to the animal trails, you know, the sort of hiking trails where you see the animals. Carry this with you and eat. Now, you're not allowed to feed the animals, but you are allowed to feed yourself while walking on those trails. And if you're just having a nice leisurely walk, nice leisurely day, enjoying the beauty of that park, this is a good way to sort of eat, fill your stomach while you're doing that sightseeing. I'm not going to specifically recommend any counter service places for solo travelers at Hollywood Studios because they mostly suffer the same long lines and poor seating areas that are associated with these kinds of places. ABC Commissary and the Backlot Canteen, both of them, there's trouble getting seats. It's a long line. It's not fantastic food. I can't really recommend either one. Another way you can approach this is you eat at the bar. Okay, there are lots of restaurants at Walt Disney World where you can sit down at the bar and eat there, even sometimes without a reservation. You can go into a relatively popular place. You can say, look, I'm one person. Can I go sit at the bar and eat there? And they'll say, yeah, we got a place at the bar. Go sit down at the bar. Okay, have a drink, have a little something to eat. Now, you can't always get all of the same things that are on the menu for the regular restaurant, but sometimes you can. Like at the Tune-In Lounge attached to the 50s Primetime Cafe, all of the same menu. Absolute same menu, just sit at the bar, you can get it all. There are other great places like at Yak and Yeti, at the Nomad Lounge, at the Rose and Crown, at Brown Derby Lounge, and at Sanaa, where you can get, if not the full menu, you can get some food that could make a meal, depending on how hungry you are. I know at Sanaa they offer that naan bread service. I love naan. I could probably just make a meal out of that and maybe a couple little things that they have there. So that's a good option. At a bar, that's a situation where there is no other chair. You know, there are other chairs at the bar this way, but when you're sitting there eating, you're looking at the bar. You're looking at the bartender. No one is expecting for there to be people with you when you're sitting at a bar. Also, I found that the guests at bars are even friendlier than the other guests around the park. I wonder why. But it's true. It's true. People are very social at the bars. People are very friendly, very talkative. Pull up to a bar, have a little bite, talk to some people. They will talk back. Okay, the bars at Disney World can be a lot of fun. Now let's move on to a few different styles of table service restaurant that I think are examples of places solo diners might appreciate. Table service restaurants are those where you usually need a reservation and where you either are served by waitstaff or you get your food from a buffet. One possible choice that works for me is you go to signature dining. Okay, because when you go to a signature dining place, that's the high dollar place, the place with the fanciest stuff. When you're going there, it's an event all in itself. The focus is not social necessarily. The focus is on the meal, is on the quality of the food, is on the quality of the service. It's on how the place looks, how the place makes you feel. Let me tell you the way I approach it sometimes. I'm thinking about it a little bit like I'm a food critic. Right? I'm not there just for a meal. I'm not there for something social. I'm on the job, right? I'm there as a food critic, okay? So if you put your attention on judging what you're there to experience, on judging the service, on judging the food, on judging how the place makes you feel, then your attention is outside of yourself for the most part, okay? It puts the attention on the meal experience instead of on you. Places like Tiffin's or Flying Fish or the Brown Derby all deliver top-notch food and waitstaff who do a great job of engaging with you, make you feel a little pampered. While signature restaurants are going to be the most expensive places on property, I have yet to experience a disappointing meal at any of them. I will also point out that these signature places tend to attract other guests who are less likely to be noisy or running around or otherwise obnoxious. The place is classy, but it's not stuffy. You might enjoy that in the middle of your Walt Disney World vacation. Another example of a good place for a solo traveler who is maybe worried about how they'll feel about sitting down to meals on their own are places with entertainment. It's a lot easier to get your attention outside of yourself if there's something loud and sparkly going on in the room with you. In Disney Springs is a place that has been around for a while now, but I just experienced for the first time this past April, along with traditional Irish pub fare, including amazingly delicious fried scallops. Raglan Road features a raucous party of a show full of Irish songs and folk dancing. I had a great time. It's the kind of place I'm gonna go back. I can't believe it took me this long to try it. Try out Raglan Road. Have a drink, sing along. It's great. Beer Garden at Epcot has a festive series of shows based on the traditions of Germany. Instead of like at Raglan Road, it's Ireland. This is a buffet full of hearty sausages and other meats, so if you're a vegetarian, might not be your top choice. The seating is at long tables, sometimes alongside strangers. Is that easier for you or harder for you as a solo traveler? That's gonna be different for each different person. I'm personally someone that I get into the parks and all of a sudden I'm really social. I'm not nearly that social in regular life, but I just open up and I start talking to strangers. So if you sit me down at one of those long tables at Beer Garden and they're open to me talking to them, I'll talk to them. And you know, you have to read it. Are they willing? Do they really want you talking to them? So you have to read it. But sometimes you can have great conversations with other people, other Disney fans. It's fun to talk to other Disney fans, right? Well, there they are. They're sitting right next to you. Talk to them. Okay. Either way, the intermittent sort of musical performances, they have like the Oompa band, they have the long horns, like from Switzerland. They've got a guy who rings bells and plays songs by ringing all the different size bells. It's fun. It puts you outside yourself. You go up, you get the food from the buffet, you come back, you sit down, you watch the show. It's gorgeous in there. It's an indoor-outdoor sort of thing. Beer Garden is a place that you might enjoy as a solo traveler. Teppan Edo in the Japan Pavilion is a little bit similar to Beer Garden in that you'll definitely be seated alongside strangers. In this case, however, the entertainment is in the preparation of the food. Many of you have probably eaten in a place like this at your hometown. You're seated around a large flat stove and the chef comes out and grills a variety of meats and rice and noodles. He does tricks with a spatula and a fork, flipping them around. They light an onion on fire. They're flipping shrimp into their pocket. I would say that I've experienced this sort of meal at a higher level than what Teppan Edo offers. But the right chef and the right table mates could make this a good place for a solo diner. Again, this is the kind of place where if the people with you want to talk, personally, I'll talk. I'll talk to the people around me. And that's a context in which that's okay. They've shoved you into a table together. It's okay to talk to the strangers. Now, if I'm at a table by myself and they're at a table by themselves over there, I'm not going to go talk to them. But in that sort of context, it's okay to have a conversation with people. I think it's great, okay? That'll be up to you as to whether you're comfortable with that or not. I'm going to stop short of giving Sci-Fi Dine-in at Hollywood Studios a full recommendation, despite its amazing theming. Right, this is a place that looks like a drive-in movie theater out of the 1950s. There's a big screen at one end. It's playing like old B-movie, like sci-fi. It's wonderful, and then they've got these fiberglass cars. They're smaller than cars, but they're the tables that look like cars from that era, and they're all facing the screen. And there are two sections to each car, and everybody sits facing forward. Okay, now that's kind of good for a solo traveler because they don't have to worry about someone on the other side of the table that's not them. They're not looking at that empty space across the table, right? At the worst, they're looking at the back of somebody else's head, somebody they don't know, right? Okay, but hopefully you get seated in the front and somebody else is looking at the back of your head. It's like dinner and a show. You're watching the stuff on the big screen, you're eating your food. It's a great themed place, but the problem is the food is not the best. You'd think that a place with that theming would make a really good burger, right? Unfortunately, no. I've made that mistake twice. If you're going to Sci-Fi Dine-in, stay away from the burgers. Try something else. I can't tell you what else there might be good. The burgers, that's not the way to go. Even though the theming makes it seem like it would be, it's not. There's another category of dining that I can see some solo travelers favoring due to its distracting qualities. Places like Cinderella's Royal Table, Crystal Palace, Chef Mickey's, Tusk House, and others, they feature opportunities to say hello to Disney characters like Mickey or the princesses. While my attitude towards character interactions has definitely improved over the past few years, these character meals don't appeal to me overall, in part because the price tag is high and the food quality is usually fair at best. But if you're a Disney fan who really values interacting with the characters, it probably won't matter to you if you're on your own there. Mickey is fun no matter what, right? And in my experience, the cast members always do a great job of delivering just as much attention to solo travelers as they do to groups. So what do you say? Have you visited Walt Disney World on your own in the past? Which restaurants served you best and made you feel most comfortable there by yourself? Any I've forgotten to mention here? Are you thinking of going solo in the future? Are there any other questions you have about that? If so, let me know, and also be sure to check out both Theme Park Hipster and Ivy Winter's channels where they also cover solo Disney travel. Thanks. This has been Daffy Stardust.